But speaking of Rodgers, so the Packers didn't really restructure or extend his contract, so there could be certainty that he may move on after this season, and the Packers can save up to I think 22 million in cap space in cap room. Why do you think this happened, and what are your predictions with Rodgers' future with the Packers?
It's a great question, man. I honestly don't know why they haven't figured out a deal yet. I mean, from Rodgers' standpoint, he's not necessarily like he doesn't have a wife who makes like way more money than him. So with Tom Brady, he can just take these pay cuts and
But
like be
he
totally
is getting
fine.
married though. He is getting
Yeah,
married.
yeah,
So
yeah. Shout out Shailene Woody. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. But yeah, I mean, to the same point, I think Rodgers is very aware that his time in Green Bay is not going to last forever. Like, and they also, he was exactly what Jordan Love was to Brett Favre. So he kind of like knows that that's maybe what the front office wants to do. I know that Jordan Love had some issues with accuracy this last season. At least that's what I've heard. Maybe they're just saying that because he's phenomenal. They don't want him to go anywhere. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think with the new coach, Matt LaFleur, and he's really into that whole backfield motion offense where he can run a lot of jet sweeps. And I know he got away from that a little bit more this past season, but if you had a mobile quarterback, dude, we might be even better. I don't know. And 22 million in cap space saved is big, but you obviously are dealing with, in my opinion, the best quarterback to ever play the game, not the best like winner, but Green Bay's not the best franchise. So that's my thoughts, man. I think he'll probably, I'd love it if he stayed, but I think the Green Bay's plan is probably to just repeat what they did with Favre.
you're right. They want to just repeat history. If it worked the first time, then why not do it again? And they have to justify that. But they have to justify by trading up to get him by giving Love the future that's similar to how Rodgers did with Favre. And I just think like Rodgers doesn't really like change. I think he likes where he's at. He's comfortable where he's at. He has a fan base that's very dedicated and loyal to him. They back him up more than the own franchise gets credit for. And the Packers, they kind of take advantage of that by just saying like, hey, we just kind of test the waters, just keep pushing his buttons a little bit, such as drafting his replacement or not extending his contract. And believe it or not, Green Bay is a small market city. Like they don't have as many luxuries as these other big market cities like New York or LA. So they gotta have to like play a little dirty at times in terms of like messing with Rodgers' contract. And like I said, they got to justify that pick they did for Love by getting him in there. Because if Rodgers keeps playing and he's there much longer than we anticipate, it's like, what was the point of getting Love then? Then the Packers look stupid and they don't use him for anything. They had to trade him away to someone else. I mean, that could have been a potential like what if? Like maybe if we got the kid in sooner, maybe he would have shown some promise. So that's kind of my thought of why they didn't really do anything with Rodgers' contract. But you're right, Rod. You and I both know. It says in the wall. We think Rodgers is the best quarterback to ever play the game. His release is incredible. He can give her the ball no matter where he's standing from. He could probably throw backwards and throw farther than any of us. That's just how good he is. He's so talented, and I think that this season will be kind of similar to how last season was, where we have these doubts about the Packers, and we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be that guy, but he still showed he was that guy. And the Packers think, well, he can just do the same thing again. He's not showing any signs of decline, so why don't we just kind of push it aside a little bit and focus on the future since he's already playing good right now?
Yeah, the Jordan Love situation was obviously a lot different than when we got Rodgers and Brett Favre. Not incredibly different, but I mean, it motivated Rodgers in a way that obviously got us to a 13-3 season, got him to, what was he, 48 touchdown throws, 5 interceptions. He actually had 3 runs, so he's like 51 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. It's so crazy that we're just going to let that walk, especially if he repeats it again this year. But what if we let Love walk and he becomes a franchise quarterback for the fucking Bears and is putting up like crazy stats every year? Where it's like, crap, we had 2 good seasons with Rodgers, but we could have just hung on to Love and had, 15 plus.
That's
I don't
true.
know. Yeah.
That's very true. They would look like the idiots if that were to happen. I wouldn't be surprised something like that happens, but not likely. It's going to be the same thing with from Brett to Rodgers. It's going to be Rodgers to Love. but I think the situation's a little different. Brett Favre wasn't really eager to you know, mentor his replacement. I think
Yeah.
Rodgers is a little bit more of a soft side for his teammates in terms of that kind of perspective. Like I've seen him be real friendly with his backups like Tim Boyle and maybe Deshaun Kaiser. Maybe you can speak for that because I wasn't paying attention too much to him, but he just kind of comes off like he has no bad grudges against any of his potential replacements. He's just playing the game and just kind of you know, just laying off, just relaxing, like that little quote he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the situation is a little different because Rodgers is obviously not the same exact person as Favre. So we'll see how it turns out.
No, that's a great point. I mean, he is like an awesome teammate. And I think talking about the season that he had, he's like, this is the most fun I've ever had on a football field. I've never gone into a season so carefree. And he had a pretty
Right.
good one. So I think if that's his demeanor in the Green Bay locker room, then I would imagine they'll want to keep that demeanor in that locker room. They re-signed Lewis, and he's way less valuable. Dude, the eye test is so critical for sports. I mean, people who are just like stat nerds on their phone, they don't watch the game, and then they're just like, oh, like NBA. I think NBA is the worst for that, but with the NFL especially, like, hey, yeah, Tom Brady is the greatest football player of all time. Like he's got the most Super Bowl rings, but if you watch Aaron Rodgers play football, like if you watched the game where he had no wide receivers and like against the Falcons, like that was an amazing game. I think it was in the snow. If you just watched him, you say, how does this guy? Nobody thinks this guy's the best of all time unless you're a Green Bay fan.
You're
I
right.
guess
I
he's
think
only got one ring. Green
you're
Bay's
right.
got like 2 rings in the last 30 years, and we've had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back to back.
Context is important. You got to think. You have to actually watch the game to fully understand how it's played. You can't just look at numbers and know exactly what happened during the game. I made that mistake plenty of times, and I think it's important. You just got to see it from a game perspective, and you'll have a better understanding of explaining things and kind of backing up your evidence of what your opinion is, I think. Hi, thanks for watching the clip. If you're interested for the full episode, go to the description for the full episode link. Or if you're interested in more content clips, feel free to check out my channel for all the clips available. Thank you again for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share.